This committee meeting for February 18th, 2026 to order. Let me lead us in a word of prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, thankful for the opportunity we have to serve the Joint Water and Sewer Commission and the citizens of Glynn County. Grant us wisdom and understanding of the issues at hand today. Bless all of our employees and their families and keep them safe. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Public comment?
Yes, sir.
Move to the approval section, the minutes from the December 17th, 2025 Facilities Committee meeting. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes for the December 17th, 2025 Facilities Committee meeting be approved as presented.
Second?
I second.
Motion second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Make a note too that Commissioner Edgy is replacing Commissioner Neal today in his absence on our committee. Item 2 is change order number 1, 4002 CIPP project. Mr. Burrows.
All right, this is a little bit of a complicated one. We ordered a contract to Bionomic Services in April of 24 to rehab 26,883 linear feet of gravity sewer with cured in place piping. The original contract amount was for $1.748 million, but there were multiple items in the bid that were as needed, such as heavy cleaning, root ball cutting, intruding lateral cutting, things like that. So we knew at the time those items would be used as needed, and the contract was going to come in above the original $1.7 million. The original time of the contract was 150 days, which means this work was supposed to be done September 21st of 2024. We have had significant challenges on this project from Bionomics, mostly due to repeated staffing changes. There have been some minor weather delays, although they have not been significant enough to explain the vast majority of the project delays. We have had 4 different on-site superintendents during this job. They've pulled crews off and reallocated resources in other areas. Recently, they've had a sister company from New Jersey down here trying to complete the project. While they have worked diligently with each of the new crews to complete work, they've been attempting, they did most of the 8-inch lines already, and 12-inch, they're working on the 15 and 24-inch diameter pipe. What they've determined is they don't believe that these 15 and 24-inch diameter pipes are suitable for lining and have requested we de-scope these lines. We requested they submit a formal change order request to de-scope and to balance the contract with the additional line items that have been utilized. And the total change order is a deduction of $33,466. I'll show you the lines in just a moment where we're at. They have offered to continue working on these lines, should we so choose, at a significantly increased cost for cleaning due to the time involved and the risk of collapse from knocking the tuberculation off the old iron lines that are downtown. Their cost to do that would be $10,500 per day, with an estimate of 2 to 4 weeks per segment of pipe to get these lines cleaned to the point where they're lineable. The issue with these lines is to get them the tuberculation removed so they could actually cut out the laterals that are attached to them. They have to remove a significant amount of that tuberculation. They can get them cleaned and then we can line them and just have a smaller pipe, but they would not be able to reinstate the services. And so if we were going to take 2 to 4 weeks at their increased price, you're talking somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 to clean each segment of pipe. And even if we went that route, there is a significant risk that the pipes would fail and collapse, and then upon completion of the work, there's no guarantee they'd be suitable for lining. Given that, I recommend we do accept this de-scoping and the reduction of $33,466. They did submit a letter here indicating their belief on the condition of the lines. Now, they were given work video that we did internally, so the tuberculation was visibly clear on the pre-videos they were given. All parties that bid this job were given access to those videos. We were very upfront about the condition of these lines, and they bid it anyway. So I did ask them, is this more about the fact that it's taking too much time and you're losing money, or is it about the condition of the lines? And the response I got back was, it's both. So,
When we had the pre-construction conference, did we bring this up and talk about the schedule,
talk about the schedule.
their schedule, and where they would be working?
Yes, they gave us a schedule at the beginning. Like I said, they were gone.
This was gonna be the latter part of the.
They were always planning to do this at the end of the project. They were going to get the smaller lines done first because they knew the condition of the larger lines was going to take more effort. And they had to have different cleaners and with chain cutters and everything to cut the tuberculation off. The old VCP lines that we have, they don't typically have to do that. So these are the line segments that we're talking about.
Can you show us where those are on the map?
Yes, sir.
Aerial,
Yes, sir.
and what size lines are they?
15 and 24-inch line.
And what's the estimated age on those?
Most of these were put in the 50s and 60s.
Is the rest of the project gone good?
Slowly, but they've done good work. Yes.
What's the percentage of completion if you had to pick?
There was originally 26,000 feet of pipe in the project. They're taking out about 3,000 feet here, and they've probably got 20,000 of the other 23 done. So somewhere in the ballpark of 70%. They have committed to having the rest of the lines completed by March 31st, if these are descoped. So,
But at the end of the day, we still don't know what kind of product we've got once they're done.
well, I think if we get post videos and we review those for pay apps, the quality of work they've completed is good. They got one of these lines cleaned, and it's to the point where they can line it, but it was right out there by the courthouse. You saw a truck sitting there for days on end at the courthouse and G Street, just south of the courthouse, and it took them 4 weeks to clean that line. And so that was, well, this isn't labeling. Where's my labels at? Stop that. Label. Okay, so 4,250 and 60 here. Let me turn on the orthos. Oh, stop that.
Do you and other members of staff have confidence that they can do this?
Yes, they can absolutely do the work. They've done a lot of high quality work for us over the years. They did a section of line over on Sea Palms West by 2032. They were there for months on end and got that job done. The work can be done. I think there's a combination of things. The lines are taking longer, and again, when you have to get them clean to the point where you can reinstate the laterals, it requires a higher level of cleaning, which does come at a risk. And I don't think they bid the job appropriately for that.
So that's what I was going to ask. You think that they just underbid it because they didn't do the due diligence?
I think that was a part of it. And also, when you're having to get multiple crews down here that you weren't planning on getting down here. So this line here is on Mansfield, 50 to 60. This is by Glenn Academy. So you've got these lines in this general area here.
And what size are those?
Those are, hang on, I think those are 24s, but they may be 15s.
And they set up bypass lines while they're doing this?
Yes. Because it takes 24 hours to rehab a line. So this is a 24-inch ductile iron line. And then, wrong one. And then, so the 15s are, let's see, 500 to 510, no, 2,500 to 2,510.
So how many feet do they have left?
If this is D-scope, they've got about 3,000 feet left. If these are included, it's about 6,000 feet left.
Out of how many feet?
26,000.
What's the life expectancy of those lines left?
The rehab lines, you're looking at 50 to 100 years. The ones that are in the bad shape now, we've talked about multiple ways of doing this. They do need to be rehabbed. They're in terrible shape. So we're either going to have to try to line them, and unfortunately you're looking at $200,000 to clean them to see if they're lineable, or you're digging and replacing. We talked about pipe bursting, but in downtown you have so many laterals, you're going to have to dig every single lateral if you pipe burst it, so you might as well just open cut it and dig it. It's going to be very costly to dig these lines because they're in the middle of asphalt. They're in congested areas. And as Commissioner Fields can report, digging on Mansfield Street is always an adventure.
Is that where most of it is, on Mansfield Street?
A lot of it's on Mansfield. This one here is near the courthouse. So this is Gloucester and Reynolds. So this area coming up F Street here. This is the court, all these lines by the Pate Building and the courthouse, those are the lines we're talking about. Those are, and you're not going in and digging and replacing it in one day.
But we had a unit price for them to do this work,
Yes.
and now they say they can't do it.
Now they said that they said the lines are not conducive to lining. They don't think they're in enough. The shape is good enough to actually line them. They're concerned, which I understand. They're concerned that if they clean the tuberculation off enough that they can line it and reinstate the laterals, that the pipes are going to collapse.
If they don't collapse while cleaning.
If they don't collapse while cleaning it. Because a lot of these older lines, when they have major tuberculation, we'll just clean the flow line down, and it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Because you're not messing with the top of the pipe too bad. But with those laterals coming in, and a lot of those old laterals in downtown are coming in more, not at 9 o'clock, they're coming in at 10 or 11 o'clock. You got to get the whole pipe clean. And when you start cleaning the top of the pipes, when they're worried about the sinkholes showing up and the collapse is happening. And if the collapse happens, I'll say this, if a collapse happens, it's not like it's going to cause a major issue as in sewer is going to be going everywhere. The pipe will still be flowing through the bottom of the pipe. You're going to have a huge sinkhole open up, and you're going to have asphalt in the pipe and everything like that at that point. You'll have to bypass it, dig it at that point, and you'll have paid $100,000 or $200,000 for them to clean it for you to have to dig it at a later
They
date.
get paid if that happens?
Yes.
They get paid extra for that, don't they? If it collapses?
They have a point repair price, but the point repair price was not intended to replace manhole to manhole.
I mean, if we get that use deduction for RFP for engineering, go ahead and plan on doing a rehab in there.
It would be a pretty significant, we could run the numbers. 15 and 24-inch pipe's probably going to be somewhere in the ballpark of $300 to $400 a foot to install plus asphalt. So you're probably looking at somewhere in the ballpark of $500 a foot by the time you're out of that work. And $500 a foot at $3,000, 3,000 feet, that's $1.5 million to replace these lines.
Are you saying to do a change order then for this, or bid it out separately?
I think at this point in time, we already have a contractor on site, so he's gonna get 20% just doing a change order. He's gonna hire somebody to come and do a conventional dig or a slip burst.
Yeah, so the thing is, I don't think you can pipe burst this thing because, again, if you got to dig every lateral, some of these lines have got 12 laterals on them.
It's the oldest part of the sewer system in the city. It's going to collapse. That's why my question was, how much time do we have?
I think the unfortunate response to that is it depends on how much rain we get, because the fact that it has been super dry is actually working against us in this, because the next major rain event we get, you're going to have more water coming in.
And at this point, if you bring in an additional contractor or another contractor, I think
You'd be better off de-scoping this and rebidding.
agree. I agree.
And what we could do, I'm not saying this is the ideal scenario, you could bid it, provide the videos and say, does anybody think you can clean and line these? You could do that. You could bid it for pipe bursting and then just digging down on the individual laterals, or you could bid it as a full replacement and just get numbers on all three of them. I'm not saying it'd be ideal, you'd have a comparison.
All three options.
All three options. You could bid it out and just see what you could get back. Now, if we do have to dig down, whether it's laterals or the whole thing, some of these areas are going to be very challenging to dig. If you're digging Reynolds Street between the Pate Building and the courthouse, there is no good time to do that. Mm-hmm. The lines down Mansfield on Glynn Academy, you could do those during the summer. It won't be great, but you could handle those. But Reynolds Street between Pate and the courthouse is never not have traffic on it. So not saying the county will not work with us on that, but it is going to cause major disruptions to county business when we do this project if we have to dig these. That's why we try to do them trenchlessly.
Well, we can put that in the specifications so the contractor knows he will have to work it within the county schedule. I mean, there might be certain days they can't work.
Well, that's the thing. The only days it makes sense for them to work are Saturday and Sunday down there. And if you're only doing it 2 days a week, it's going to take months to get these lines done.
Well, you could route traffic to the Pate Building through that side entrance on I Street,
The
but
bigger issue is when they're doing jury selection and everything
Right.
at the courthouse. That's when they're going to have major issues. Pate
If
Building
we
is
do
one thing.
nothing, we're all gonna have major issues.
100%. We got to do something. And honestly, they bid the job. We could try to force their hand to do the job for what is bid. I think we're going to have a disgruntled contractor. We're not going to get their best work. And it's real easy for things to go south on this project
And
if
they've
they're,
had trouble staffing the job.
and they've had trouble staffing the job anyway. They've done significant amount for work for us. They've been very successful. I had a blunt conversation with them the other day to genuinely ask if they were going to be able to maintain a presence in this area because they've had such staffing issues on this job. They've told me they could. They've reallocated some resources trying to finish the other lines up, but the amount of work they've done for us for this project to go this way tells me it's probably not something that they got a handle on right now.
but reallocating is trying to do that with existing dollars.
Yeah.
And if, without this change order, they really can't afford to do that.
Right, so unless we want to pay them $10,000 a day to clean the lines, they can't really afford to reallocate the resources down here. And again, if I was going to pay $10,000 a day with a guarantee it's going to work, maybe that's one thing. It sounds ridiculous, but $100,000, $200,000 a line segment, knowing it's going to work, but when you're just hoping that the line doesn't collapse in the process, that seems like pouring money, pun intended, down the drain.
Well, the de-scoping is just reducing that work from just taking that out of the contract.
Taking that out of the contract, they still have to finish the other 8-inch lines.
Because they have some more 8-inch lines.
Got some more 8-inch lines to do. They've got a couple of patches they have to do where they overcut a lateral. They got to come back and repatch that and recut those laterals out. But
In this change order, can we put a pretty tight time for them to get on in there and get that out, done?
that's March 31st is what they've agreed to. It can be part of this change order. Yes, sir.
March 31st to begin?
To be done with the rest of this work.
Okay, good. Okay.
Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Facilities Committee recommend approving change order number 1 for the 4002 Basin CIPP project with Bionomic Services Incorporated for a reduction in the contract amount of $33,466. In all that discussion, was there an addendum to that motion?
No.
Okay.
Do we need to put in that motion?
You can add that work has to be completed by March 31st.
As a continuation of my motion, with work to be completed by March 31st, 2026.
And what about the work, this other work would just be rebid?
That don't have to be a part of the motion. We can handle that separately, yes.
So, Adina, did you get my jumbled motion?
Adina makes all of us sound smart. That's good.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
I will note that does include, and I went over this, but we didn't talk about it expressly. This unit price item, there's $234,000 of those as-needed items that they were already due that. That's just to balance it out. So it's $260,000 worth of work they're due scoping, but the added items was $230,000. But we knew that was going in, that was going to happen.
When can we have the documents ready to rebid it, this portion? We prepared these documents.
Yes, sir. To dig and replace, we had to get a higher level of survey done and everything like that. So we'll have to get survey taken care of before we can get that out. So we'll get our survey quote out and see how quick. The reason I say that is sometimes you call for surveys and it's 2 weeks and sometimes it's 4 months before you get survey back. So I don't want to commit until we have survey data back.
Todd, does the county have LiDAR right in that area?
They do, yes, they do.
And do we have as-built on these, do we have plans on these lines?
No.
Likely not.
No.
Likely not. LiDAR is 1 foot contours.
What's that?
The LiDAR is 1 foot contours, so we can get close.
We can get close,
ranges
yeah.
For, minimal depths. Consider line depths.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Did
That y'all voted, yes, sir.
we have voted? Okay. Item 3. liquid oxygen feed logic changes. Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. So we operate a liquid oxygen treatment system at Academy Creek. We take liquid oxygen in bulk tanks and then evaporate that into gaseous oxygen to go into the headspace of the aeration basins. Liquid oxygen is the second largest expense in the operating budget following wages. Over the past 3 years, it's averaged $1.76 million, and this year we're in that same range, maybe a hair higher. We have been trying to find a way to automate this system for a while because there are times throughout the day when the flow goes down where the oxygen skyrockets, and there's also times when the oxygen tanks and we have to increase the rate, and the system's kind of finicky and it requires significant manual operator intervention. We talked with EMC, who does our SCADA and does a lot of automation things for us, and we've been talking to them about this for several months now. They've examined what would be necessary from both an equipment and the logic in the PLCs to actually make this work. And they have quoted the work to get this done for materials and labor at $45,808.10. Now, most wastewater plants use blowers for aeration, not liquid oxygen. When you do dissolved oxygen control at a blower-driven system, typically you save somewhere between 15 and 30%. If we get similar results, this project will pay for itself in 2 months. I actually, if they can get this done correctly, I think we'll save more than 30% on the oxygen cost at Academy Creek. They say they can get the work done in 4 to 8 weeks, and so we could have this done before the start of the new fiscal year if this is approved. Now, we've talked about potentially generating our own oxygen on site in the long term instead of continuing to pay for oxygen, but if for $45,000, if we can start saving, there's a chance we could save this much money every month if this is dialed in correctly.
Years ago, we had a guy come and talk to us about the pure oxygen system here with staff and everything. And he mentioned some of that back then.
This would not be to do it the way he was talking about doing it. The way he was talking about doing is you would have differential pressure on the front of the basin. At the end of the basin, you have a oxygen purity monitor so that if you have excess pure oxygen coming out, you know you're overfeeding. This would be to do it based off a DO control at the end of the basin. It's got to be a slow step process because it takes 2 to 4 hours, depending on the flow rate, for the flow to get all the way to the end of the basin. So doing that logic, you're going to have to build in some delays and things to do that. This would be doing it differently than that, but would not require the investment in all of the additional monitoring equipment necessary to do it the way he had recommended. And this is something the operators understand. Trying to use differential pressure and oxygen purity on the way out is very foreign concept to operators. They understand dissolved oxygen readings.
So they would read the oxygen and
We have probes in the water. We have online oxygen probes now that show you what it is. And we could set that now. In a blower-driven plant, typically you set that at 2, 2.5. We'll set it a little higher just because of the way the process works. But if we set that at, say, 4 parts, and then it would start trimming or ramping up based off of that, and it would take time. The way the PLCs work is it will learn. It's not AI, but if you think for the AI process, it will learn how much it has to adjust to make the change if necessary. So it starts out with these wide swings, and then it slowly dials it in as it gets further along.
do those probes need to be cleaned?
Those probes are cleaned once a week, yes, sir.
Y'all have any other questions? Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Facilities Committee recommend to the full commission approval to approve the agreement with Electrical Machine Control Incorporated for the automation of liquid oxygen feed control at the Academy Creek WPCF in the amount of $45,808.10.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item is lift station pumps purchase, Mr. Burris.
Okay, so I'm doing this all as one memo to avoid having to do this in 4 separate memos. So we will go through all 71 pages of the attachments. No, I'm just kidding.
We want you to explain the hydraulics too
Yeah.
while you're at it. And the curves.
We do have curves in there, yes, sir.
You gotta explain them to us, though.
Well, I thought.
We're
that-
lay people.
Lay people, come on now.
That's about where it stops.
Yeah, we have tremendous experience on this board, sir. It's one of the things that makes us as good as we are. So we need to replace or repair or replace pumps at 3 different major lift stations. 2 of them are St. Simons, 1 of them is on the mainland. Pump station 2003 is on Stewart Avenue in the Oglethorpe Park neighborhood. Pump station 2030 is on Stranger Cemetery Road behind Frederica Academy. And 4119 is at the intersection of Highway 99 and Golden Isles Parkway. We got quotes sent out to repair the pumps for a like new condition. And with the quotes to repair, we got quotes to replace the pumps because the repair quotes were astronomical. We got quotes from Xylem, who produces the flight pumps, Pump and Process, who provides KSB pumps, and Hydro Service, who provides Sulzer pumps. Pump station 2003 has 1 pump that needs repair or replacement. The existing pump is only 5 years old, but has been an absolute disaster for us. It's already been repaired once and needs another repair, and it's just shy of $37,000 to repair that pump, and it's already had one $20,000 repair done to it. The current depreciated value is actually less than the cost to repair the pump. The best combination of price and fit for the station is to replace that existing Grundfos pump with a KSB pump at $50,968. We'll skip 2030 because it's a little more complicated. We'll go to 4119. 4119 is an existing Wheelo pump. That pump was installed in 2020. The cost to repair the pump is $41,000. The cost to buy a brand-new pump from Hydro Service, a Sulzer pump, is $33,000. So if I can get a new pump for $8,000 less than I can rehab the pump, I think it makes sense to replace it. 2030 is a quadplex station, so it has 4 pumps in the station. The way that was designed, all 4 pumps are the exact same size. This was rehabbed major project in 2016. What we have found is, particularly in the middle of the night, there is not enough flow for the size pumps that are in there. So what we're recommending is going with 2 larger pumps and 2 smaller pumps. Due to the jockey pump situation, we did this at pump station 4035 and 4036, where we have a smaller duty pump that runs all the time, and then in high flow events, we have a larger pump that comes on and trims the flow.
Show us where that pump station is.
Yes, sir.
And then the other one in St. Simons.
Yes, sir. So the smaller pump, when we talk about a jockey pump scenario, the smaller pump will run almost continuously without cutting off. The larger pumps will come on, they'll run at least once a day to make sure they're going to fire, but they only come on when we get to a certain level in the station. So 2030 is back here on Stranger Cemetery Road.
Do we have a picture of that station?
Yes, hang on.
Should be, there's a hyperlink, yes, sir, hyperlink.
I don't know how to get to the I don't know how to do the hyperlinks.
Everything outside.
They are, right, correct, it's above ground,
You know where that one is, Mike?
Yes, sir.
right next to the,
I rehabbed that one in 2016.
Okay, so you know what they're talking about.
Matter of fact, I think I raised the question about the pumps at that time, and
Oh. So 2030 is back here at the back of Hamilton Landing on Stranger Cemetery Road, back behind the Georgia Power easement.
What happened to those pumps? What caused the problem?
Those pumps are having a lot of motor issues, and we think it's because they're starting so much, particularly in the middle of the night. They'll come on, ramp up, and immediately cut off because they overpump in the middle of the night. So we have 3 of the 4 pumps out of the hole right now needing repair.
Could you change that to a timer at certain times of the day? That wouldn't do that?
Operated at different levels depending on time of the day. I mean, you could, and then when it started raining, you'd have real problems.
But have it override if it,
I will say this, anything is possible. The more complicated you make it, the more failure points you have. But so we have 3 pumps out. There is a bypass pump there, permanent bypass pump, and one in the hole, so we're not having problems at the station. But to rehab the 3 pumps is going to be $45,897. And to buy 2 KSBs for the primary, the larger pumps from Pump and Process, and 2 jockey pumps, the smaller pumps from Sulzer, is $27,933 for the KSB, $18,687 for the Sulzer. So you're essentially spending the same money to buy 4 new pumps as rehab 3 pumps. So the request here is to buy 1 pump for 2003 from KSB, 2 pumps for 2030 from KSB, 2 pumps for 2030 from Sulzer, and 1 pump from 4119 for Sulzer. And the total is $78,901 to pump and process and $51,697.50 from hydro service. We can certainly go through the repair quotes and look at pump curves should you would like to.
So we're replacing all of the pumps in 2003.
In 2030, not in 2000, replacing 1 pump in 2003, all of them in 2030.
30 is the one behind Frederica Academy.
2030 is the one behind Frederick Academy,
It's 5 years old.
2016, it's 10 years old.
Time flies.
Believe me, I have an 8-year-old, I understand, time flies. She's supposed to be like 4.
The pump should last 15 years.
They should, yes, sir. And none of these pumps have. They were flights that were in the 2030. They have not worked out. The Wheelos that were in 4119, one of them is being replaced. We're not really buying any more Wheelos right now. And then the Grunfuss we put in 2003, probably won't be buying a whole lot more of those either. So we're trying to shrink down on what we're using. We tried some different pump manufacturers, and it hasn't worked out for us. And then Flight, we do like Flight pumps, but their prices have just, they're not competitive on pricing anymore.
So speaking as truly the only layman on this board, were the pumps under capacity? Or there's just faulty pumps, or?
Well, depends on the situation. Now, 2003, the Grunfuss, we have had repeated problems with the cables. So the cable that comes into the top of the pump, they keep having nicks and cuts in the cables. And so there's got to be something with the way they're wrapping those cables that they're not durable enough to be in those setups. The Wheelos, we're having motor problems, and then the Flights at 2030 are having motor problems. Typically, when you have motor problems, one of 2 things is happening. The pump's ragging up and it's pulling more amps and it's causing motor problems, or, which is not the case at 2030. I think at 2030 it's just starting and stopping so much. You don't want a pump to start too often because it's kind of like your vehicle. The more times you crank it, you're going to wear the starter out eventually.
Don't we have a lapse time meter and all that in our records?
We do, but I don't have that information right now.
But we do have it to compare with other pump stations.
Yes, sir. We have all the run times and everything like that. Yes, sir. I mean, I can pull it. Well, I can't pull it up from here. I don't have the link. So if I could get David to send me the link, I can pull it up from here.
Did we have a motion yet?
So in 2030, though, we're talking about using 2 different size pump horsepowers.
2 different pump
To
horsepower.
alleviate that problem.
To alleviate the problem. So the smaller pumps will basically run 24/7, except for as part of the programming, we'll cut them off and start one of the bigger pumps, say once a day, to make sure that they're going to pump. And it also helps flush everything if there was any velocity concerns. And then if it gets to a lag pump, it will turn on the higher pump and pump it down.
In 2003, wasn't that originally that was a KSB station?
That was a KSB. We put in
5 horsepower.
We put in Grunfuss pumps, and then we're going back with, hang on, can't keep them straight, back with the KSB here. That station is the largest pump station on St. Simon's Island by flow.
Well,
That
we
Joker
have that
pumps.
one in 1998.
Yeah, that
Yes,
Joker
sir.
runs.
You know where
So-
that station is, Bill?
Yes, sir.
You know, Bill?
I don't.
Show them where it is.
It's on Oglethorpe Park off of Frederica.
You got a bypass pump there and a generator.
The generator doesn't run, but there's one sitting there.
People's house.
It shakes the windows and
When I say it's beside that one lady, her house is on top of that pump station.
But the house was built after the pump station
Yes,
was
sir.
there. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the pump station through the trees here. So, let me zoom out. It's Frederica here. This is Magnolia Manor
Okay.
as a reference point.
It pumps everything from
Everything from the south end of St. Simons, except for what goes through 2030 goes through this station. So everything from the village, East Beach, Ocean, all of that ends up through this pump station. Everything at the roundabout, the airport, everything comes through there.
So these are the two main stations.
These are two of the three largest stations on St. Simons, yes, sir. And then 4119 is a major station now on the north end because of the amount of growth we're seeing in the North Mainland District right now. So this is a situation where they sent another pump off from a different station and got a quote to repair it for $11,000, and we're repairing that pump, but it just doesn't make any sense to spend $40,000 repairing a pump.
No. We'd be better off to buy the new pumps.
Yeah.
And Xylem's priced themselves right out of the.
They have priced themselves right out of the market. We talked to them, indicated that they needed to use the phrase sharpen their pencil, and they came back and it wasn't sharp enough. You can typically buy two pumps from other people for what they're charging for one.
KSB, Xylem, they're pretty compatible.
Yeah, and like I said, Sulzer, I use a lot of Sulzer pumps where I was at in Alabama. We've started putting them in our system. We've had good success with them. They're good pumps. Buford Jasper has started almost standardizing on Sulzer pumps as well. So they are really taking a huge share of the marketplace. A lot of that's because they're a lot more competitive than Flight has been. So a lot of people are turning away just because of the cost.
And they're servicing their pumps there.
And they got a shop in Darien that can rehab the Sulzers. Hydro Services has got a place in Darien now, and so we've been getting really good customer service out of them.
Can I have a motion?
Yes, sir, I'll give you a motion for that one. And that's item number 4. Lift station pumps purchase.
Yes, sir.
I motion we go ahead with the new pumps to the tune of,
Can you read the motion on the bottom of the memo?
Motion on the,
on the bottom of the
First page.
Tab number 4.
tab 4.
I move the Facilities Committee recommend approving the purchase of the pumps as presented from Pump and Process Equipment in the amount of $78,901. And from Hydro Service, Inc., the amount of $51,697.50.
I second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
He didn't vote, sir?
Hey, it's on video, okay?
I was joking with the chairman. He wanted to know why we printed out 70 pages. I said, because David sent it to me, so I gave it to you. I had to read it, so I gave it to you to read.
Item 5, infrastructure dedication.
Oh, good, Todd's up.
And conveyance of easements. Mr. Klein.
Right. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. This is the typical infrastructure dedication and conveyance of easements topic here. We have 2 developments that are providing us with those items at this time. The first one is Enclave Phase 2B, which is an apartment complex, an expansion of an existing one. Phase 2B produced 10 new buildings, total of 204 apartments, and the water infrastructure, sanitary sewer infrastructure there, and a water and sewer easement over that infrastructure. Water is valued at about $470,000, and the sewer infrastructure about $590,000. Second item is off of Altama Avenue, Hyundai of Brunswick, new facility there, auto dealership, and on site, most of the infrastructure is privately owned and maintained, but there is an extension of sewer there and also an extension of water across the fringe of their property, parallels Altama, that we now have obtained or will obtain easements over that infrastructure as they work.
We got the dedication of the infrastructure was last month, right? This is just the easement for Hyundai?
This is easements, correct, easements. Those are the 2 items. There are record drawings for each. Correct, so the infrastructure was already there that's within these easements. That's why we're getting these easements here. Cleaning up our record, so to speak. It's not uncommon. We do have infrastructure out and about the county where we don't have an easement. One was never pursued for some reason. And this helps us clean this up. And that's exactly what this is.
questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I move that the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission approve and accept these requests to accept infrastructure and easements with associated documentation as applicable.
Second?
I second.
Motion second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners.
Todd, tell the two commissioners what happens after we do that. It goes on our
Yeah.
records, and the estimated cost goes into the financial statement and everything like that, right?
Yes, sir. It goes as a capital contribution on the balance sheet and then starts being depreciated.
Right.
Right, correct. And legally, the next step we do is once the board, this facilities court advances it to the full commission accepts, we'll then take these documents and then have them recorded at the courthouse. And then once that happens, we bring them back and then we update our mapping in GIS so that everybody from here on out, including anybody who looks at the county's website for their GIS or QPublic or anything like that, tax assessor, all these easements will now show up everywhere, so.
All right,
Thank
And
you.
then legally, does that come off the tax digest? Is that? It does not?
It may lower the value
Right.
of the tax digest, but it doesn't come off because we're not full owners of the property.
Gotcha.
Correct, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Water standards,
No, we got another dedication.
easement,
Easement,
Glynn County Fire Station number 2,
yes, sir.
County, Georgia.
Good afternoon. What you have before you today are two easements that are being assumed by the JWSC, given one from Glynn County and one from Jared LLC. The first, the easement from Glynn County is for Fire Station number 2. This is St. Simon's Airport. This is part of the project that we're working with Commissioner Neal on to clean up the airport properties. The other one is Jared LLC, and it is a easement that was this was something we found. This was something we found while we were cleaning up the other parcels that have been the overall project. So this is a stray sewer line that we noticed was going across Jared's property and needed to get an easement for it.
So one of them was part of the airport project, one of them was part of our getting the pump station project. We noticed that we didn't have an easement over the
Yeah.
gravity line.
And that was located at Jared also, wasn't it? Or was it Low Pro?
It's the old label manufacturer there on the corner. Gotta go and.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion?
Chairman, I recommend we move the Facilities Committee forward to the easements regarding Lynn County Fire Station number 2 and 200 Indigo Drive to the full commission with a recommendation to authorize the chairman to sign any and all documents to accomplish these events.
Second?
Motion second, all in favor? Motion carries.
Got a vote, sir.
Oh, motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Just because you second it doesn't mean you don't have to vote.
Okay, the discussion section. Proposed standards revision, Mr. Klein.
Well, as Mr. Klein gets up there, this is something that we've been talking about as a commission for several months now. There's been recurring discussions about the fact that we have, the items come for dedication. Typically, what we've seen where we're having concerns is the water system is dedicated as public, but they do not want to construct the sewer system, particularly the pump stations, to public dedication standards. Not that they don't meet standards. There are standards for the pump station. They are meeting JWSC standards, but they don't meet the standards for dedication as public infrastructure. The board has requested that we take a look at that to not allow that as a future practice. And so Mr. Klein came forward with some potential edits for discussion. These are not for approval today. This is for discussion as part of our standards. And we wanted to get your feedback on these, and should these be deemed favorable, we would then send these out to stakeholders for feedback prior to bringing them with any adjustments back to you for consideration for approval at a later meeting.
Okay, should Todd go through each one and read it?
That's what he's going to do, yes, sir.
Right, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Yes, so these are more, as Mr. Burris said, clarifications on some of the language in our standards so that our stakeholders and applicants are very clear on the board's preference and the way things go. This first one in particular, and I'm happy to read through, is that?
Yeah, please
okay,
read
sure.
through.
The recommended revision is for all new construction, if the JWSC criteria for public dedication, and that's referenced above, there are some criteria for it to be able to be dedicated as public, is met for either the water distribution or the wastewater collection system, that both of those systems shall be constructed to joint water sewer public standards and dedicated upon completion. All construction shall conform with corresponding Joint Water Sewer Commission requirements and be based upon applicable definitions for customer and service location as defined by the City of Brunswick and Glynn County ordinances and the JWSC. Public ownership of the joint water sewer system shall be contiguous and not separated by privately owned infrastructure. So that's important to us. That last one I'll hit first is we don't want to have a public asset, a private asset that's maintained by somebody else, and then public asset upstream or downstream if it's a water distribution of that. That wouldn't be fair to our customers because we could not legally have control of that infrastructure in between, and that could cause issues for service continuity backwards and forwards. So that's that reason there. We never want to have that public situation. We want to be public all the way to the meter for the water lines, and then all the way to the sewer clean out for, like, say, a sewer connection or a force main pump station connection like that.
I like this. There's no questioning this.
Thank you, Commissioners. So the other thing I want to point out here, and you'll see this kind of language repeated in the next couple ones as well, we do refer back to the City of Brunswick and Glynn County's ordinances because the Joint Water Sewer Commission itself does not have ordinances. We operate underneath the water and sewer ordinances of the city and Glynn County. So that's why we refer back to them and their definitions of customer and also service location. Important technicality there. All right, next one down here is in the water distribution section, section 2 of the Joint Water Sewer Commission standards of construction. The water meter shall serve as the termination of the Joint Water Sewer Commission's public distribution system ownership. As such, all complete and approved water distribution improvements up to the water meter shall be dedicated to the Joint Water Sewer Commission as public infrastructure. Placement of the water meter will be at the property line in a location determined most appropriate by the Joint Water Sewer Commission. All service connections are to conform with corresponding Joint Water Sewer Commission requirements and be based upon applicable definitions for customer and service location as defined, again, by the city and county ordinances. And that is just to clarify joint water sewer's ownership up to including the water meter, like we just spoke of.
And if it's one parcel, it can be master metered. So an apartment complex
Correct,
can be master metered and private behind that.
correct.
But individual parcels must be individually metered, and so they have to build it and dedicate it up to the meter.
That's
And
correct.
the meter, is it gonna be at the right of way?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Probably have some meters that aren't at the right of way right now.
This is only for what's going forward. This is not retroactive, but when they call for a meter today, they are set at the right of way or as close to the right of way as possible.
Correct. So a complementary, that is for the water distribution system, complementary for the wastewater collection system, is a very similar clarification in the language here. The Joint Water Sewer Commission collection system ownership shall begin at a lower cleanout, a pressure main backflow assembly for if there's grinder connections, or other connection to the public system, because there can be, that covers us in other connections. As such, all complete and approved collection system improvements up to this point shall be dedicated to the Joint Water Sewer Commission as public infrastructure. Placement will be at the property line or in a location determined most appropriate by the JWSC. All service connections are to conform with corresponding Joint Water Sewer Commission requirements and be based upon, again, City of Brunswick and Glynn County ordinances. And again, this is just to clarify on the sewer collection system, the point of JWC ownership, public ownership up to. All right. Okay, again, on the wastewater pump station section here, section 4. All right, wastewater pump station serving multiple customers and meeting the Joint Water and Sewer Commission criteria for public ownership shall be constructed to Joint Water and Sewer Commission standards for public ownership and dedicated upon completion. Joint water sewer requirements will be based upon applicable definitions, again, to the ordinances. This is, as Mr. Burrows covered in the opening statement there, to prevent a public water system with a private sewer pump station. And a private sewer pump station also means that all the contributing gravity above that pump station, hydraulically upstream, would also have to remain private. So this would eliminate that as well. In other words, for, say, a new subdivision, if it meets all the criteria to be public, or for the ability to be public, the water system and the whole collection system, including the pump station, will be public. Okay. Just a few more here. So on the topic of wastewater pump stations, this is to clarify the types of stations that will qualify for dedication. Pump stations to be dedicated shall serve more than one customer and have a minimum required pumping rate of 22 gallons per minute at peak flow and a minimum upstream contributory loading of 16,000 gallons per day. That's just the industry standard. It's been in the standards, our standards, Joint Water Sewer Commission standards for many years.
Essentially, that eliminates grinder stations.
Correct. Correct. It eliminates single customers from looking to the Joint Water Sewer Commission to own and maintain their infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if we have more than one customer account, I think the intent is for us to maintain infrastructure that serves more than one of our customers.
If it serves more than one customers, it's gotta have three-phase power.
Correct. Yes, Mr. Chairman. All right, next one here is we simply struck out the language up front. Let's see. Privately owned facilities and their contributing gravity systems shall be considered satellite systems of the Joint Water Sewer Commission, requiring an agreement with the Joint Water Sewer Commission to discharge to the public system.
Explain that again. We did something with the satellite systems.
Correct.
Years ago, but explain that to us.
So a satellite system, and we do have the definition of a satellite system is a privately owned and maintained, often shared amongst several entities, that then discharges to the Joint Water Sewer Commission's public collection system. If it's a private, and we really try to avoid these scenarios, but sometimes they're just not avoidable. And there's a lot of legacy scenarios like this also in the system, where you may have multiple parcels that all drain to one common pump station, and that pump station drains to the Joint Water Sewer System. There may be reasons why it may not meet standards to dedicate for public, so it's got to remain private. But the satellite system, and we have a satellite system agreement that is filled out by the customers, the applicants, that dictates who's responsible for owning and maintaining that infrastructure, that shared infrastructure, for here on out. So there's no question there as to if something needs maintenance or who's paying the power bill or whatever it may be. That's clarified in that satellite agreement.
But a satellite system is the entire system, including their pump station.
Yes.
It would be.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
They own-
They own the gravity and the pump station and everything.
And what do? We still accept the sewage though?
The sewage comes to us, but they have a satellite system agreement. They're going to maintain that gravity system and pump station.
And they can do whatever they want to at the pump station?
You can.
Is what we're going through going to encourage them to have more of those?
No, sir. This is going to essentially eliminate those.
Especially when they call a contractor to come maintain that pump station.
Exactly. So that emphasizes the requirement for Joint Water Sewer Commission satellite system agreements in those cases.
Maintain those systems? We maintain the pump station?
No.
We don't right now either?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay. And the next, we have just the pump station types, and this has the definition for a low-flow pump station, less than 80 gallons a minute. And we just struck the language intended for public ownership. It was irrelevant at this point with these other changes, so just remove that inconsistent language there. So by definition, we have low-flow pump station, well, ones that aren't able to be dedicated, 22 gallons, less than 22 gallons a minute, 80 gallons a minute are considered low flow. And the last one we have here,
Yeah, Todd did most of these. I found one more that I thought might need to be
this
added.
was a good one. Yep, so these standards shall encompass individual residential, single property, service, commercial, and multi-service, multi-lot facilities. It's a mouthful, but we'll explain it. That fall below the threshold for public ownership. And then struck out that language there at the tail end. Clarified that only individual residential, single property, commercial, or stations below 22 gallons a minute can be kept as private. Eliminate the option for private to be considered up front. So again, this is honing in down on if the station is less than 22 gallons a minute, it's got to be private. It's the only way it can be private. If it's greater than that, they're going to figure out a way to make it public. If it's a single property commercial, as Mr. Burrows mentioned, like an apartment complex or a strip mall complex
shopping
or
center,
something like that, it's a single commercial to us, a single account. You have one property owner, then the lease is out or whatever they do. That's considered one single customer, again, so it would remain private, their infrastructure. And then again, obviously, single individual residential would remain private. So most of these are just, that's all of the revisions proposed this time, but most of these are clarifications, I would call them.
But what it does is these changes, if they're approved at a later date by the board, would eliminate the ability for somebody to come in and say, I don't want to build the pump station to JWSC standards. I'm just going to keep it private. Because what we have talked about in here multiple times is eventually the HOA ends up owning a pump station that they don't have any idea how they're supposed to maintain. They're not actually taking in money for the HOA to maintain it. And then they've got this asset that's essentially not being maintained. Now, not immediately, but down the road, that ends up being the situation.
Correct.
What steps do we have to take to approve this?
So what we were planning on doing was bringing it for you today and see if there was any suggested changes from the facilities committee. If there, we'll take the feedback today, update them as necessary. We would send them to stakeholders. Todd has an engineering update list that he would send this to, get feedback, adjust as we feel necessary from the feedback, and then bring that to you for approval at a later date.
But we can do that at a regular meeting.
It would do that, yeah, it would come out, well, we would come back to the facilities committee again for the approval and then through the regular meeting, yes, sir. But if we're thinking about this, we send this out, if we take the feedback, send this out in March, something like this would probably go into effect probably July 1st or something like that.
Is this gonna be presented to the full commission?
Not tomorrow.
Okay.
No, sir, we're just getting the facilities committee feedback because this is based off of the way we dedicate things to the facilities
You're
committee.
gonna get the feedback from the stakeholders.
Yes, sir.
We'll solicit, yes, sir.
Before it's brought back for approval, yes, sir.
Will you do that in a private, or a meeting with the stakeholders?
Commissioner, generally what we'll do is we'll send out an email, I call it engineering update, PNC engineers, and we'll send that out to a blast, and just request
Gotcha.
feedback back. Probably won't have an official like workshop or anything like that, like we did with the standards when we revised those in 2024. If there's enough of a response, we would entertain that, but probably would just look forward to receiving back any emails or anything like that, or any further discussion needed, and we'd incorporate that and bring it back to the next facility, as Ms. Burrow said, to explain the feedback we received. But
So forgive a newbie's question, and I don't know if this is aimed at you or Andrew, but we have standards. Why don't we have our own set of ordinances that then the city and county could refer to in their ordinances?
We have, the water and sewer ordinances are incorporated in the city and county ordinances.
Okay.
So their water and sewer ordinances, they are the same between the city and the county. If we would like to update these are standards, not ordinances, those are separate things. But if we want to update an ordinance, what we do is approve a recommended ordinance change, and then we have to go to the city and the county to get them to adopt that into their ordinances.
Okay, and that's done at a council or a commission meeting?
That's correct.
Gotcha, okay.
That's like the sewer use ordinance.
So,
Yeah.
so all that would be that way.
So we hold our own standards, just like the county has their subdivision regulations and things like that. So we have our own standards, and these are on the website. They're updated periodically. We went through a heavy lift to get them updated a couple years ago, and this is just part of the ongoing improvement process.
Okay.
Thank you for the questions, yes. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next item is
Let you do it.
water production report, Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. So, our report looks a little empty this month, since we're just 1 month into the year. But for the month of January, total system-wide, we did 234 million gallons. 207 million were metered through individual meters, so that's 11.45% unaccounted for the month. Average production was 7.5 million, and we got 6.7 through the meters. So got 860,000 gallons of unaccounted for water. Now, there's multiple reasons water can be unaccounted for. There's metering inaccuracy at the well. That could be up to 5% at the well. For the meter to be calibrated, it still means within 5% plus or minus, so that can change it. And then the individual water meters are within 1.5% accurate. So that's where a lot of that come in. It doesn't necessarily mean we got 800,000 gallons of leaks going in the ground out there anywhere.
So you said it's 11.45%.
That was the calculated number for the month of January. So our AMI totals are a little lower than where we have been. Ms. LaDonna, do you have any insight into why we're seeing a reduction in those?
No, sir, I can certainly check into that and provide some feedback for you.
All right, thank you.
Is there any relevance to the fact that it was high in January of '25 too?
It was high in January of '25 because we had, that was when we had the winter storm events. So we did have some additional leaks going on during that period that were not metered.
And that could account for some of
That
it.
could account for a lot of it, yes, sir. Now, if you'll flip over to the next page, after many months of trying, we have now been able to give you an estimate of the unaccounted for water by district.
Oh.
I say this is an estimate. Don't take these as gospel. But for the Brunswick district, and you'll have to zoom in there for anybody that'll see that, the flow, Brunswickville, we've been intentionally using it less as we've brought I-95 back up. You'll notice I-95 was not running in November, December because we had the well rehabbed. But it is back up and running. And so for the month, we had 4.9 million gallons produced on the mainland, which is within normal fluctuations of our monthly totals. We were able to meter through the mainland meters 4.3 million gallons a day. So we had 12.72% unaccounted for water on the mainland for the month of January. If you look down there at the bottom for the last 13 months, the average has been 10.22. That's because obviously you had a few months. If you look, I told you that 5% difference in the metering between the wells. I did not pull this data, but I'd be willing to wager that we had the well meters calibrated in February of '25, and that's what caused that drop in the unaccounted for water at that point. So we did have some taste and odor complaints. The chairman likes to go through these. Most of those were dirty water complaints. I suspect we had some areas that were seeing some higher water usage during the period, and we were doing some flushing, and we probably stirred some stuff up in the area. But on the next page, our chart that has 1 point for the year. It says we're a little below where we were last year. Like I said, last year, if you recall, in January, we had the winter storm event. A lot of people were dripping water, so it's not unexpected that the water used to be a hair lower. St. Simons for the month of January, most of the flow, this is not surprising, is on the south end of the island. And so north end, we saw a reduction in flow, but 2.3 million gallons a day for the month of January, with 2.1 million metered for a 9.4% unaccounted for St. Simons. 10.16 is the average for the last 13 months. Again, I would not take those numbers as 100% factual. I did eliminate, if there was obvious erroneous flow reading that we had to make a billing adjustment on, those were taken out, but I did not go through all 30,000 numbers to make sure they were all accurate each month. So
if we had a 3/4 inch meter that said they use, 800,000 gallons of water, I axed that out because that's obviously wrong. But this gives us a general direction more than hanging on the specific numbers. Very close to where we were this time last year on St. Simon's Island. And for the South Mainland, as you would expect, it is our lowest water percent unaccounted for. We had about 322,000 gallons a day. We metered 300,000 gallons a day for 6.79% water loss. That makes the most sense. It's the newest system, mostly all PVC down there, so that system's in pretty good shape. Average is 8.9%, and that includes a 25% number that was from January of last year. That was due to a pretty significant leak on that system. So, all in all, systems are very consistent with where they've been the previous year, and so a pretty uneventful month from a water production report standpoint. But we will have those numbers for you going forward, and again, you're looking more for general trends than looking at specific numbers on that unaccounted for water. Any questions on the water report before we move into wastewater?
Move into wastewater.
All right, moving into wastewater, you will note that the flow continues to be quite low at all the plants because we have had about 5 inches of rain in the past 5 months. So it has been exceedingly dry. And so the flows at the wastewater plants indicate that. 5.8 million gallons at Academy for the month, which is the lowest it's been for the last, tied with the lowest it's been for the last 13 months. We are still having the ammonia problems, as I mentioned at our workshop. We are looking at some potential inhibition things going on at the plant. We're getting data that seems to be trending in that direction, so hopefully we'll start seeing some improvement in those. But we got just shy of 98% removal of BOD and 98.6 removal of TSS for the month. Did have a little less sludge going to the landfill. Some of that is because Sarah was running for the month, and also we are just doing a better job with consistent solids production and not getting behind like we were. So, do have the upcoming clarifier project. We awarded that at the last month meeting. The kickoff for that is Monday, so hopefully as that project continues to move forward, we'll see even better trends in that data. And the filter parts showed up for filter number 1 at Academy. We're waiting on Aqua to come in and rehab that one, and so that filter will be back online and working the way it's supposed to for the first time, and then they're going to come in and redo filter number 2. There are 2 dots. There is another dot on that chart. It just is the exact same location as the previous year. So there are 2 dots there. The flow was almost exactly the same from the previous year. Dunbar Creek for the month, 2.5 million gallons for the month of January. We had several days when I came in and checked the SCADA readings, we were at 2.3, 2.4 for the month. So the lack of rain is certainly benefiting us in that regard. But the plant, obviously with lower flows, is doing very well. 99% removal of BOD and 98.5% removal of TSS for the month. Dunbar operating very effectively over on St. Simon's. So good to see that plant continuing to do well. Flow a touch lower than it was this time last year, but nothing significant.
Yeah, they're gonna start adding chemicals to get the phosphorus down.
Right. We got some.
Not started that yet.
We got some punch list items. We haven't started dosing it yet till we get the punch list taken care of. And Southport, 488,000 gallons for the month. About a third of the capacity used up down there. Again, 99% BOD, 98.8% TSS removal for the month. No solids. We did have to run 1 container of solids so far in the month of February. So our solids-free plant made it 4 months before we had to run more solids after we emptied the digester. But again, that plant's being operated very effectively down on the south end down there, and everything's moving smoothly. So once we get this inhibition situation straightened out at Academy, I feel confident that all of our plants will be operating very effectively in that regard. So flow's a little higher at Southport than it was this time last year. We have seen some growth down there. The port is continuing to expand. So good to see that plant starting to get a little more flow to it after many years of being underloaded.
Okay? This is the pictures, fellas.
All righty.
This is your first facilities for both of you, right?
Oh, excellent.
That's the best part of it.
Well, I've sat in on it and watched, but
Chairman and Commissioners, again, thank you and good afternoon. So yes, this is the picture report. This is not by any means all of our capital projects in motion, but these are the highlights of the ones that are turning dirt out in the field right now that you can see happening. All right, this first one we talk about is Community Road, Area Water and Sewer Extension. This project is essentially complete except for one last tie-in associated with an easement we're obtaining from Georgia Power as we speak, but otherwise essentially complete. It's our team out here. This is actually two of my planning construction staff, Harry Patel and Dana Reed, out there GPSing the features. And why we do this is so we know where they're at in the future and we can go back to them. We actually map these out. And the units that we use are Trimble units. They're GPS units that are actually centimeter grade accuracy depending on the satellite reception. So we'll get very, very close and we can actually repeat and go back to these locations in the future as
Don't we
needed.
have the contractor provide us as-bills?
Correct, we do. It's kind of a belt and suspenders thing that we do. Since we have the capability to do it and go out there and locate these features, sometimes we find that the drawings we receive back may not be as accurate as we hope. And so what this does is we're able to take specific
So we
points.
don't require the contractor to do this.
Not yet.
They're supposed to take shots,
Well, yes, they are
bursts
supposed
and
to
things like that.
provide us with record drawings, which
Do we make sure that they update that every month before we approve a pay estimate?
we do. So the contractor, and this is one of those, I don't know if you call it unfunded mandate or whatnot, but anyway, our capital projects is a little bit easier. On private projects, a little more difficult because we don't have
Yeah,
a
I know that.
contract leverage against them. But yes, with the pay apps, we do require our contractors to update their red line construction plans, we call them. That's their marked up, coffee stained, fingerprint, muddied sets of plans they have in the job trailer or truck to maintain those along the way with their
Should
measurements.
we have them do this?
We could, certainly, yeah, we certainly could. This gives us good confidence. We'll take some shots, put it in mapping, so when we do bring in their CAD file of the record drawing at the end, we overlay it in our mapping. We see how accurate their record drawing is compared to the shots that we took, and that helps us get confidence in the record drawing. So, but obviously, we see donut, we call them donuts, so it's concrete structure, or, you know, they mark water valves in the grass. But where it really helps is where there's features that are buried underground that you can no longer
This is
see.
a pressure system, isn't it? But those are water valves?
Those, actually right there, yes, those are either water valves or service connections. Let's see if, yeah, we didn't designate right there. They're either service connections, clean out connections, or service connections right there. That's what those are likely. We wouldn't have two valves that close. Those are likely service connections.
So that's the service connection for the water line? The sewer line?
For the sewer, right, correct, yes.
So there's a cutoff valve at each sewer, is that right? Is that a cutoff valve?
Cutoff valve, right.
There's a integrated check ball valve.
Ball valve, right, check ball valve. Yeah, it's assembly.
So a check ball valve. And so you open that box and you see a check ball,
You can see it, correct, right.
and how do you close that?
With a key. It's just a key that fits on it and turns,
Okay.
For the
just like a
ball.
water key.
Yes, there's a ball on for the ball valve, but the check valve portion keeps it from blowing back on their pumps.
Yeah. And all of that's in that little thing, area?
It's a one-piece
Okay,
stainless steel assembly.
okay.
All right. Let's see, I think we got a few overhead.
How many people are tied on there now to that system?
We are working to get, there's 3 actively working to get them tied on right now. But as far as who's discharged to us right this moment, nobody quite yet. So we've got one new development of Habersham, another electrical supply house over there, and there's one other interested party that we're talking to, trying to get them tied in.
Now, do we have grinder pumps in each one of those?
They will have to have.
They will.
They got it first.
They have to put them in.
And they have to furnish the wet well for it and everything.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good overview shot there. Community road area, lay down area. This is the section on George Power's property, I believe. That project's wrapping
Yeah,
up.
getting that, if we're able to secure that ease from Georgia Power, it saves us from having a bore underneath Community Road. We can go into what is an existing private leg of gravity that just serves Georgia Power but connects to our system on Benedict. And we can pump into that system, take over that gravity section from Georgia Power, and then we don't have to bore under Community. So it's a little bit, we might not get the full width easement we typically get, but it's a good concession for us to not have to have a line under Community.
Yeah, this was a project that you may recall earliest started in looking at doing with gravity and whatnot out here, and then it kind of morphed into this in the design process. So, but yeah, it's a lot of good ideas came about. Some contractor driven, some opportunistic, like with the Georgia Power easement, and different ways to make it a better project in the end. So I think we're in it with a really good product. Canal Road Water Production Facility, and I'm very happy to report we just had the final walkthrough, punch list approval this week, and now
Guys, Todd, that looks like it's on top of a hill.
it does. That may be
Perspective.
I think it may be
On top of a hill, and I see something in the background.
panoramic. Yeah, maybe in the panoramic mode or something. When
No, but see the people in the back, I mean,
correct. So if you've been out there in that area, Glynn County has their traffic circles complete now, working very well, as far as I can tell. And we are off to the side over there in the road. Harry Driggers, that once formerly went right beside it, is now closed off.
And there will be a deductive change order coming in the month of March to close this project out.
Yes, yes.
About $300,000.
Yeah.
Nice. You gonna need it.
So,
what's in the box?
so in the box, flow meter, right? So that's our flow meter right there.
Well, we spent it today.
Tells us how much water we're putting out to the system. Chemical feed tanks. That was one of the lingering items that finally got remedied there. And there's a picture of it from the side looking.
What's that?
It's like this hill behind it.
But it's a nice looking facility. And now functionally complete and just the paperwork. Now, I will say this, we do still need to get record drawings back from our engineer of record on this one, Thomas and Hutton. And they're working on that. Then we'll close out the engineering contract as well.
I had no idea they were gonna wrap Harry Driggers around that from the roundabout, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. We were doing this project, and the county was doing their major project out there. Nobody knew what we had anything going on because the county had everything graded out, and we were just in there kind of doing our thing quietly. And then all of a sudden, the tank started being built, and they're like, "What do y'all got going on over there?"
Yeah.
It's a good thing we got a private road to,
Yes, we have a private entrance. Yeah.
That's right.
plus we got good visibility.
Definitely, definitely. All right, next project is Dunbar Creek.
Yeah, so we mentioned they got the pump skid started up. There's a few minor punch list items they got to get taken care of. Most of those are SCADA-related items. And then we'll be able to, we're trying to finish up the permitting. We got to have a public meeting for the EID, and then we'll get that closed out. But doing very well. You got a shot there. The new clarifier, been online for several months now. Very effective. Doing good work. You'll notice that we don't have the clarifier in the very back. If you look very closely online, we took it offline to do some rehab work to it. Since we have the third clarifier now, we got more flexibility to do maintenance to the existing items. Academy Creek, we're on the punch list from that. Major punch, not really major, the punch list items that are remaining. If you look at the bottom of that first picture, there's a little bit of pavement right there that's been cut. We got to get the asphalt redone there. That'll be done on Friday. And then we've got to get some work done on the gutters of the structure over the UV system. but very minor punch list items remaining. We should have that hopefully wrapped up before the end of the month, but certainly for the end of March. So that one's almost off our list as well. But UV system is operating very, very well down there at this point. So good to see that project nearing completion as we're fixing to start another major project down there with the clarifiers.
All right, here we go. Exit 42 elevated storage tank. All right, so first picture here, you can see obviously use a lot of concrete placement. And this is actually one of the testing protocols they do it there called a slump test. So it's pretty interesting.
Can you explain a slump
That's
test?
gonna be visible then, won't it?
Very visible. Explain the slump test.
Can you explain a slump test to us?
So, right, so basically in most simple terms is how watered down is your concrete product. There's a perfect, depending on what you're doing with your concrete, and the type of concrete it is and what type of mixture, et cetera, there's an ideal water content. So the sloppier the concrete, you're gonna see that sucker, slough down a lot lower. The less water, there is in there, the stiffer it's gonna be. And so when they turn and invert that cone out, they see how it literally slumps down. And it's a very simple measurement, but it gives them an indication of how watered down the concrete mixture is.
When should that project be finished?
We gave them till the end of next year. When was it?
March of 27.
27, March of 27. So that was an agreement with them that was addressed here a few months back.
But yes, to your point, sir, it is highly visible right there where they're working because the adjacent properties have certainly increased the visibility of our site
That's
as a
it.
result.
That's it. And everybody, of course, is looking at our beautiful elevated storage tank and not at Buc-ee's as they drive by.
Exactly.
They're looking at our tank, I'm sure. So, but yeah, it's real accessible. The roadway here, if you go out that way, come down the exit, cross 99, this is all open, public right of way now. I think Glynn County's going through the process of accepting this public, but it's all open right now. You can drive right up here if you like.
Buc-ee's has that exit now sign.
They do?
We could change that and just put an arrow and say, new water tank.
Water tower.
An arrow going over.
That's right.
So, very visible, and we'll talk about another one here in a second. There's a good view from there, placing concrete. The forms, you can see the yellow forms. One difference you'll see between this exit 42 concrete finish and the one down at exit 29, it's different. They're using steel forms here, and so the finish is very smooth, it's slick. The one down at exit 29, they're using plywood forms or wood forms, and it gives a little bit rougher finish. Neither one's better than the other, it's just interesting, it gives a different finish. Okay. All right, now down to exit 29, Division 1 Water Production Facility at our Southport Treatment Plant. And that's the entrance road going in to the plant site. You can see the new elevated storage tank there in the distance. Here's a view looking back to the west of the site. And the green roof there is our new water production facility. Generator sitting beside it. And ground storage tank in the background. Coming along nicely there. Another shot facing northwards. All right, that's inside the water production facility with the high service pumps. Typical, you'll have 2 pumps in there, high service pumps. Site Superintendent, Mr. Art there, making sure everything's going fine with the connection to the existing well. Just a reminder, we did reuse an existing well there. The well was good condition. We rehabbed a little bit there as part of this project, but we did reuse an existing well asset, which saves some cost. New piping coming along nicely on that project. Division 2 of the Exit 29 improvements.
Just a reminder, that project and the next 2 projects are all SPLOST funded. So all that Exit 29 work is funded through the SPLOST
Thank you.
referendum.
What about North Main?
That's bond.
Right. And so Yeah, SPOS exit 29, Division 2. It's our 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank. And that's the one poking up out of the trees, you can see. You can definitely see it coming on the interstate. You can see it peeking up over there, especially when the crane was on top. Crane's been down for a bit because now they're placing concrete for the dome or the cap, the bottom of the bowl, or support for the bowl. And I enjoy this view every morning as I come into work on Highway 17 across the Little Still River, and I can see beautiful tanks sticking up out of the trees now. It's just a landmark now. So once we see the bowl on there, it'll, of course, even be more prominent.
And what are we gonna use the concrete area for? Because there's no water in that.
Right.
There'll only be some pipes going up in that, and then you got the whole bottom for, what are we gonna do there at both of those tanks?
We don't have anything specific outlined, but the other pedestal tanks, our other composite tanks we have end up being storage areas. Obviously, we house the electronics and stuff for the tank inside those as well. But we use them for storage. You cannot store anything that contains fuel in the tanks,
Yeah.
but everything else is good to go. And you never have enough storage.
Yeah, each one will have a roll-up or garage door at the base of it.
I'm gonna put myself a cot in there for the storage season.
It'd be a good,
That's right around the corner.
Exactly.
it's close
Right
enough.
by the house. It'd be nice.
another good view there. And then here's a UAV view. Basically, you're kind of looking directly below the drone. Here is the Little Satilla River facing northward, and where our outfall to the plant is. And actually, you can look forward, you can see the tank peeking out from behind the trees there as well. And when that bowl gets on there, it's going to be about 170 plus feet tall total, and so you'll see it's going to be a little even taller, a lot taller.
Which
once it's
one's gonna be
complete.
taller, though?
Sir?
Which one's gonna be taller, that one or the other one?
They're essentially about the same. Of course, the overflow elevations were a little bit different. This one's based on the Brookman tank, which is about 10 miles to the west on 82. And so the one up X42 is based on the Kate Road tank and the other tanks in the area, North Mainland tanks as well. So, but very similar, all around about 170 plus feet tall. There you go, and there's another good view from the top as they're placing the reinforcement for that dome cap we talked about. They are going to cap it with concrete there, and then they'll start placing the steel, the prefabricated and formed steel, and welding that in place, and they'll start welding the bowl on the ground, and they'll lift the whole thing up and weld it together. Pretty interesting process here.
It'd be good, if we'd had a time-lapse construction photo.
We talked about that, yeah.
Could've done that, couldn't
It, with the amount of photos we've got, now we have, staff has taken a ton of photos and video.
We could
We could
piece something together.
Yeah, we could
Good.
We could
piece
stitch some stuff together. You know, it was talked about, should we have a post with a camera that takes a daily picture or something? And would have been nice, yeah.
Trying to cut costs where I can, sir.
Yeah, you said we can still do it.
We can take and mock it. It won't be a daily picture, but we can get something close.
There are some good videos on YouTube you can see that do show time lapse.
But they're not ours.
They're
Not ours, no,
that's
sir.
right.
But same style of tank, and it shows pretty good description of how they're built. All right, so exit 29 SPLOST water project, Division 3. This is a water loop. So there were several water loops down at the south end that we did make connections with that are going to help us get the most benefit out of that elevated storage in the new well site. Those are going in existing neighborhoods, cutting across Southport Parkway. Of course, there's always other utilities in the same area you have to avoid and work around. Working back through neighborhoods and working with the neighbors. It's a part of our daily routine. Okay, smoke and dye testing. So that is wrapped up? All the
smoke
dye
testing's-
testing
I don't know if
is,
the dye is done or not.
another week or so,
Yeah.
maybe a couple weeks on the dye testing itself. But yes, the smoke testing part of it, where they identified the defects, and now they're going back in with the post evaluation with the dye testing, with the actual taking flood where say the smoke came out of the ground in an area, we don't really know where the defect is. They will take and basically flood that area literally with dye, water and dye, and they'll pop all the adjacent manhole lids, looking around, watching for the dye to pop through. Then if they find it and it shows up, they'll poke the camera up in there and they'll find exactly where it's coming down.
We're never gonna get the report.
At the end of all of the dye testing, and then they'll compile all of it and make a report for us. We have the active dashboard, so we know where the defects are at, but they'll compile all of it into a report at the
On
end.
both the mainland and,
The whole system. It won't be separate reports. It'll be one report for everything.
but we've got them for both systems now. They've done the mainland and.
All the smoke testing portion is done, yes, sir.
So we have something that would show us with a little dot where all the leaks are, right?
All the leaks they found.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can pull up I don't have the link to the dashboard, but
Yeah, we've got that. If you like, we can pull that up and show.
See it?
Okay. You want me to do it now or finish report?
We can finish reporting
Okay.
and do it.
So, ironically enough, smoke testing even identified some defects within construction zones. I won't tell on who that owner of that construction site is, but it's very close to the beach, we'll put it that way. Maybe east of Ocean Boulevard.
It's Ocean Boulevard.
But I won't tell who it is. So, also, you never know where the smoke is gonna show up, showing a defect. This one actually is underneath a porch. This is something we frequently encounter, is infrastructure built over the top of service lines and different things like that, so that smoke will find its way out. Another defect they found there. Now, they didn't find a defect at joint water, I don't think. did
there's
they?
no sewer right there.
I think they're just staging right there in front of our office. Now, I did see this one right here, witnessed this one myself. This is out there at exit 36 next to it's like an event center type facility. And it looks like an old grease trap that had been completely covered up. I don't think anybody maybe even knew it was there anymore. But sure enough, smoke had come out of here, and then actually they went and flooded this with dye. And it didn't end up being a large defect, but it was just simply coming out of the grease trap that needs to be repaired. So that's now handed over to pretreatment to handle with that customer. There we go, another one. Gotten to witness this guy out here too, off of Perry Lane Road, and you can see, that's a pretty significant ditch that Mr. Bill's standing down in there. But it's a brick manhole, bricked up, and you can see a couple bricks missing. So when that ditch fills up, and that actually is a lot lower than the invert of the culvert here. Invert of the culvert's over here, and this defect is down probably 6-8 inches below. So you can imagine where the water is going first before it makes it down the ditch line. So this is another good one for us to find. We should see a lot of decreased flow and rain events at 4107, 4105, and then
As
downstream.
soon as this is completed, right?
As soon as, yes.
Now, they did mark 4 or 5 was what they deemed critical defects. All of those have been corrected already. And we're going through, I think we've knocked out about 60 of the defects they found so far. And so our construction crews are going now. A lot of those have been broken cleanouts and stuff. They're not all 200 gallons a minute or anything, but we're systematically going through trying to knock them out.
We're gonna schedule some video and after that, in-house video.
It won't be, well, we won't, it'll be part of our normal 10-year schedule. So we just rotate through the system and do it that way. But yes, sir, the system is routinely videoed.
All right, that concludes the pictures portion of the report. The detail of all and list of all of our named capital projects is in the spreadsheet there with a lot more detail. Happy to answer any questions you may have that. There is also our Gantt chart for timelines.
We do have out for advertisement right now while he's getting to the smoke testing dashboard. We took 2 projects and combined them into one. It's a design build project to redo the water production SCADA.
Maybe.
And 3 wells on St. Simon's. As part of the master plan indicated the electrical systems were end of useful life. So we're combining redoing the SCADA and redoing the electrical on those 3 wells into one project. So
Is that the only one we have?
those are due out into March 24th, I believe. So we should have those for hopefully a recommendation for you at the April meeting.
Harrington, Mallory.
Harrington, Mallard, and Airport.
Airport.
Yeah, and the airport will be going from 240 to 480 so that we can knock the average in half. Those are very big breakers right now.
Speaking of creeds, yeah, I'm not sure what mine is. Oh, do you have one? Woo-hoo!
We don't need to
GIS
discuss
portal.
the land.
Oh, JVO, got it.
He's fixing
All
to
right.
pull up the smoke testing dashboard.
JVO
By
underscore
the way, that guy that was talking to our contractor out there on 11th Street,
underscore
that's my wife's cousin, Frankie.
viewer.
And if they hadn't been there, he'd have been talking to that stop sign.
He's a chatter.
When I see his number come up on my phone, I tell Holly, I'm not getting
One,
that.
2, 3,
Everybody's got
exclamation
one.
point. And let's hope I got that right. Keep me signed on. Save. Thank you. Fast action. Okay. So this is the Joint Water Sewer Commission smoke testing dashboard McKim McCreed put together as part of the project. And they took a lot of feedback from staff and made actually a lot of improvements and updates and added things here and there, bells and whistles along the way. So, completed length over here, that's how many feet total smoke tested. Private defects, public defects, clean out covers replaced. This is simple fixes Mr. Burrows mentioned. And how many die testing, which is what they're doing right now. Got a few more, 7 or so more to go. And critical defects, the 5 that Mr. Burrows mentioned also.
And those critical defects were manhole covers that were just completely missing, known cross connections with the storm sewer, things like that, that are major contributors. One of them was listed as critical, not necessarily for I&I purposes, but for safety purposes. The manhole was all busted up and was unlevel, so we went ahead and got those taken care of.
Oh, cross connection, got it.
We got one cross connection for sure. There's a couple that are, they identified them as fissures, so they have smoke coming up in a drainage ditch. It's just not on a manhole or something like that. Those will be priorities for us to get corrected. But this one was a situation where it was clearly coming out of the actual storm inlet.
Do we have the capability of doing smoke testing?
We
in-house too?
we can do smoke testing in-house, but it's, we're much slower at it than they are.
Yeah.
All right, so that is, I don't think we have this on our website, do we?
That's
Yeah.
not, so you gotta have a
This was
login.
internal only.
Yeah, you gotta have a login to get the.
But, you know,
Bulk of the issues they found, to be expected, were manhole issues. We found, now, it does say there's 166 private defects. We will be sending letters to those customers requesting that they repair their private defects that are causing us I&I problems. Most of those are broken laterals in their yard that are draining water. If there was just a clean out cap that was missing, we just went ahead and screwed a new cap on for them while we were there.
And a lot of this is gonna find out, this live oak and.
Yeah. We have
Which
found
power?
quite a few private defects that are, based off of the way the smoke's coming up, it would seem likely that there's some sort of bore-through situation going on. On the water side, you find bore-throughs immediately. On sewer side, you don't find them until you do smoke testing or it backs up,
Or they fall in.
or they fall in, yeah. So,
this is the FLETC campus. They went out there and looked around at numerous defects.
one of the critical defects was a major manhole situation on FLETC.
So they did smoke test out there. They allowed us to do that.
I picked the top 50 basins that showed an increase of rain event versus dry weather. So we smoke tested the top 50 basins.
People don't realize how old that infrastructure is either. A lot of that's World War II.
There should be photos, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's the collapse one that they indicated was, that is getting I&I. If you click on the picture, it should get bigger. That is getting I&I, but that's obviously a potential safety hazard, so they deem that as critical.
And again, we're not going to say where this one.
We're not gonna say that. May have been damaged during construction.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Couple of them we found, like I said, at exit 29, there was one manhole that did not have a lid on it at all. And it was on the east side of 17. which if you're on the east side of 17 near the port, it is wet over there. So getting a manhole cover replaced there will pay dividends when it does start raining again. We did have one known cross connection with a storm sewer on the mainland. I think it was a 4007 basin. And then one manhole cover at Fletsey, and then a section of service that had no top of the pipe, and it was just open flow channel into there.
Anything else?
All right, thank
We
you.
did not find any more 8-inch mains that were just draining water like we did a couple of years ago. If y'all remember, we were having issues around the hospital, and we found an 8-inch main that had been bored through, and it was just straight pipe, 8-inch clean water coming into that station, and we couldn't ever find it. And it was because it was subsurface, but we finally located it, so.
Anything else, Andrew?
That is all we have for this meeting, sir.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?